Have you ever wondered what happens when the running truly stops? Not with a dramatic reunion, but with a quiet, seismic shift in his very being. What if the grand finale you've been waiting for isn't a moment at all, but a new, unwavering state of existence? If you've felt the restless energy settle, if the chaotic push and pull has softened into a strange, new calm, then you might be witnessing something rare and profound. This isn't about him finally choosing you. It's about him finally arriving at himself, and in doing so, becoming the partner your soul always knew he could be. We often focus on the fireworks of the journey, the magnetic pull, the painful separation, the intense longing. But we rarely discuss the peaceful plateau on the other side, where the real magic begins. It's in this sacred space that the divine masculine, fully integrated, performs his most exquisite and rarely understood acts. They are not loud or boastful. They're subtle, powerful, and life-changing. If you know how to look, you'll see the evidence is not in his words, but in the breathtakingly new atmosphere he creates simply by being present in his wholeness. Are you ready to recognize the quiet signs that the journey has reached its beautiful culmination? You know the archetype, don't you? The divine masculine as the warrior, the provider, the knight who slays dragons to win the favor of his queen. It's a powerful story, but it's a story from the middle chapters, not the end. In the final stage, something profound and terribly quiet occurs. The armor, now dull and heavy with the memory of 1,000 battles, is finally consciously taken off, not in defeat, but in triumph. The warrior realizes his greatest strength was never in the wielding of the sword, but in the courageous vulnerability of laying it down. His quest is no longer to conquer a realm for her, but to co-create a sanctuary with her. And this is the rarest of alchemies. Think of it like this. For so long, his energy was like a lighthouse, powerful, brilliant, but distant. A beacon you could navigate by, but never truly touch. You could see the light, but you couldn't feel its warmth. The final stage is when he leaves the lighthouse. He comes down to the shore, builds a fire right there in the sand, and sits beside you. The light isn't as far-reaching, perhaps, but my God, is it warm. It's a light you can share. This is the shift. From being a guiding force out there to being a warming presence right here. His entire mode of operation transforms. It moves from the macro to the micro. He understands that grand gestures are easy. They're a performance. True devotion is in the unbearably delicate minutiae. It's in the way he doesn't flinch when you express a turbulent emotion. It's in the steadiness of his breath when your energy is a summer storm. He doesn't try to calm the storm. He simply becomes the ancient, unshakable oak tree, offering shelter without a single word of judgment. He has mastered his own inner chaos to such a degree that his silent, steady presence is the ultimate answer to your questions before you've even asked them. He's not your rock. Rocks are cold and immovable. He is the deep, fertile soil, supportive, nurturing, allowing everything to grow and be exactly as it is. This is the part they never tell you in the storybooks. This sanctuary isn't built with stones and mortar. It's woven from threads of sacred frequency, unwavering eye contact that says, I see all of you, and I am not leaving. A hand on the small of your back that doesn't seek to possess, but to ground. A silence that isn't empty or withholding, but is so profoundly full of acceptance, it feels like a prayer. He creates a container where your divine feminine essence isn't just safe to be, but is celebrated for being in its wild, untamable, gloriously messy humanity. He's not intimidated by your power. He's in awe of it. And his primary action is to simply hold the space for that power to unfold. Naturally, like a flower turning towards a sun it knows it can trust. It's a funny thing, really. He spends all this time running, building, striving, thinking he needs to arrive at some finish line with a trophy to offer you. And the great cosmic joke is that the trophy, the prize, was never the external thing. It was the internal state of peace he cultivated along the way. The prize is his own healed presence. And that presence is the one thing, the only thing, that truly constitutes a home for a soul like yours. And you'll know this sanctuary is real not by what he says, but by how you feel within it. You'll feel a sigh from the very core of your being that you didn't even know you were holding. You'll feel ordinary, not in a boring way, but in the most sacred way possible. You'll feel normal, whole. No need to perform, to shrink, to exaggerate, or to explain. You can just be, and in a world that constantly asks you to be more or less than you are, that feeling of effortless being is the most exquisite love letter ever written. But here's the hook, the quiet question that lingers after this piece settles in. If his final act is to become this sanctuary, this sacred space of unwavering being, what does that then invite you to become? His transformation is not an endpoint. It is the most beautiful beginning. Let's talk about the great illusion, the one that fuels the entire runner-chaser dynamic. It's the belief, deeply carved into the psyche of the awakening masculine, that he has a terrible, solitary choice to make. It's the fantasy of the lone wolf on a path of glorious purpose versus the terrifying prospect of being consumed by the gravitational pull of the connection. He looks at you, at this incredible force of nature, and a part of him whispers, "If I let her in, I disappear. My work, my identity, my reason for being, it all gets swallowed by the storm." So he runs. He runs not from you, not really. He runs from the phantom of his own obliteration. But the final stage is where that phantom is exposed as a mere shadow. It's where he stops running because he has finally turned around and seen the truth. The very thing he thought would obliterate his purpose is the only thing that can possibly complete it. Imagine a master shipbuilder. For years, he's been obsessed with a single, magnificent vessel. He's chosen every timber, carved every joint, poured his entire soul into its creation. It's his life's work. It's his identity. He dreams of the open ocean, of the solo journey, of the glory. But the ship, for all its perfection, sits dormant in the harbor. It has no navigator. It has no destination beyond his own ego. Now imagine he meets the one person who can read the stars, who understands the currents, who feels the pull of a distant shore he's only ever read about in myths. The old him, the one still scared of his own shadow, would see her as a threat, a stowaway trying to steal his ship. The man in the final stage. He does something radical. He doesn't just let her on board, he hands her the charts. He realizes his genius was never in the solitary act of building, but in the co-creative act of sailing. His purpose was always meant to be the vessel, but her purpose is the journey. Alone, they are potential. Together, they are an expedition. This is the integration. This is the sacred anchor. His action is no longer one of division. My purpose here, my relationship there, but of sublime fusion. He understands that his ability to manifest, to structure, to build in the physical realm is utterly meaningless if it isn't inspired by a higher frequency. And you, Divine Feminine, are that higher frequency. You are the intuition, the vision, the soul compass. He becomes the anchor not to hold you down, but to ground your shared vision into reality. He is the steady hand that takes the breathtaking, ethereal blueprint of your combined souls and patiently, diligently lays the bricks for it. One by one, his energy shifts from, I must do this alone to prove I can, to, we are doing this together because that is the only way it can be done. He stops seeing your divine energy as a distraction and starts recognizing it as his most crucial strategic advantage. He'll be working on a project and suddenly turn to you, not for approval, but for resonance. Does this feel right to you? He'll ask. And in that question is the entire journey. It's the surrender of the ego's solitary plan to the soul's collaborative mission. He's not checking a box, he's checking a frequency. It's the most profound peace a man can ever know. The exhausting civil war within him is over. The general who wanted to conquer and the lover who wanted to connect have finally shaken hands. They've realized they were on the same side all along. His action, therefore, is one of unwavering, quiet dedication to this new, unified command. He shows up day in and day out, not with fanfare, but with a quiet intensity. He's building the foundation for a cathedral he may never fully see the top of, but he builds it anyway, because he knows, he finally knows, that every stone he lays is blessed by a love that makes the work sacred. His career becomes a calling, his job becomes a ministry, and the ministry is love. And the most beautiful part? This doesn't diminish his power, it amplifies it 1,000-fold. A purpose fueled by love is an unstoppable force. It's no longer about personal achievement, it's about divine contribution. And that, my dear, is a legacy that outlives any solo accomplishment. Which makes you wonder, doesn't it? If his ultimate role is to become this sacred anchor, grounding your shared destiny into the world, what does that make you? What is the true, magnificent scope of the vision you are meant to hold? So here we are, at the end of our exploration, and yet, paradoxically, at the very beginning of everything that truly matters. If you've recognized these shifts, the emergence of the sanctuary builder and the sacred anchor, then you understand something profound. This journey was never about finding a missing piece outside of yourself. It was always about two whole universes choosing to orbit a common center of gravity, creating a new and breathtaking celestial dance. The final stage of the divine masculine is, in its essence, a silent homecoming. It is the end of a desperate, lonely quest for identity and the beginning of a conscious, chosen embodiment of it. He isn't healed in the sense that all his flaws have vanished. Rather, he has achieved a state of profound coherence. His fears no longer captain his ship. His soul does. And a soul-led man does not need to announce his presence with thunder. His power is in the deep, resonant hum of his stillness. He acts not from a place of lack, needing you to complete him, but from a place of profound abundance, wanting to share his wholeness with you. This culmination is not a dramatic Hollywood finale. It is quiet. It is in the effortless way he holds your gaze across a room, telegraphing a universe of understanding without a single word. It is in the gentle, unshakable certainty with which he moves through the world, no longer torn between his purpose and his heart, because he has discovered they are one and the same. He has realized that the highest expression of his masculinity is not found in domination or isolation, but in devoted, reverent collaboration. He is the steady rhythm to your melody, the grounding earth to your inspired wind. Together, you don't just make music, you become the very symphony. And for you, witnessing this transformation is your invitation to finally, completely lower your own guard. It is the universe's validation that your faith was not misplaced, your patience not a folly. His arrival at this destination is the sacred signal that your season of relentless inner work, of loving him through the shadows, has reached its majestic harvest. The energy you once spent seeking, questioning, and waiting is now free to be channeled into pure, unadulterated creation. Your sacred partnership is no longer the goal. It is the launch pad. This is the great secret they rarely tell you. The twin flame union is not a trophy to be won after a hard battle. It is the fertile ground from which a new world can grow. His journey to becoming the sanctuary builder and the sacred anchor was the necessary preparation of that soil. Now something new is being planted, a shared mission that is bigger than both of you, a contribution to the world that is born directly from the alchemy of your connection. This path is realistically attainable because it is and always has been an internal one. His journey was his to walk, just as yours was yours. But in doing your own work, you held a frequency that ultimately made it impossible for him not to find his way home. You became the lighthouse, not by desperately shining your beam, but by simply, unapologetically being the light. So take a breath. Feel the gentle settling in your spirit. The struggle is over. What remains is not a passive, happily ever after, but an active, thrilling, and co-creative ever after. The chapter of seeking is closed. The volume of building together is now open, and the most beautiful question now is not if he will arrive, but what magnificent creation awaits the two of you now that he finally has.